Imagine a superpower that allows you to stop time, and with just a single thought, heal anything from a completely destroyed skyscraper to your own body, even if it's 100% damaged. In an alternate reality of the multiverse Earth, this power is granted to a genius architect named Caesar. But despite having such an extraordinary gift, Caesar is deeply troubled by his own life. He stands atop the tallest building in his city, New Room, contemplating suicide. Just before jumping, he suddenly uses his power to stop time. In the next moment, he cancels his plan to die and safely returns to a secure place. In this city, only the rich had control, while the poor were treated like insects, left to survive in the corners of the city where even fulfilling their basic needs was a struggle. Meanwhile, in another part of the city, the mayor, Cicero, is reading a newspaper and looking extremely disturbed. A local press outlet frequently publishes stories about his poor financial condition. And now, they had crossed the line. Last night, at an extravagant party, some nude pictures of his daughter Julia were leaked and printed by the press. On her way back home from the party, Julia's car is stopped because Caesar and his team are about to demolish a huge building ahead. At that moment, Caesar stops time to make sure no human is still near the building, so he can remove them in time. But something strange happens. Julia is completely unaffected by Caesar's power. Even though time is frozen, Julia continues to move normally. She is shocked by this, but Caesar doesn't notice anything unusual. After this, he resumes time, and Julia drives away. Over time, Caesar becomes increasingly popular, eventually receiving a Nobel Prize for his work, bringing his fame to its peak. But Mayor Cicero doesn't like this at all. There's a long-standing conflict between him and Caesar, and Cicero knows that if Caesar's followers keep increasing, it would severely impact his chances of winning the next election. Later that night, a party is held to view the demolished building, and all the city's elite gather there. A reporter named Veo covers the event live. During the party, the elites discuss what new structure should be built in the place of the fallen building, a place meant for their own pleasure. Caesar's uncle, Hamilton, a prominent banker, is also present with his immature and strange son, Claudio. Once everyone is gathered, Cicero announces that a casino will be built on that site. Most of the rich people are delighted by this idea. But the moment Caesar hears this, he is furious. He strongly opposes Cicero's plan. Caesar actually wanted to build a structure where the city's poor, who live on the fringes, could find shelter. And he wasn't planning to use conventional construction methods. He had discovered a new metal called maglo, through which a person could create anything just by imagining it. Caesar's vision was to demolish every building in the city and reconstruct the entire city into a new utopia, ensuring space and opportunity for the poor. But Cicero refuses to even consider his proposal. Caesar insists he only needs financial help from the rich and an approval letter from the government to begin. Cicero continues to insult him publicly, even going so far as to bring up Caesar's deceased wife, who had poisoned herself and whose body was never found. Enraged by this, Caesar lashes out at Cicero so harshly that security guards are needed to restrain him. Julia is present at the event and tries to stop the reporters from capturing this humiliating moment for her father. Because of what happened, Julia decides to take revenge on Caesar. When Caesar returns home, Veo, his secret girlfriend, is waiting for him. She wants him to make their relationship public so no one can separate them. She even proposes marriage. But Caesar, still grieving his wife and haunted by her visions, rejects Veo's offer and walks away. Heartbroken, Veo turns on her TV to watch her interview with Hamilton. During the interview, she realizes Hamilton had been flirting with her the whole time, but she had paid no attention. The next day, Julia arrives at Caesar's office, intending to humiliate him. Inside, she finds several alcohol bottles, which reveals Caesar's deep emotional distress and unstable mental health. Still, she demands that Caesar apologize to her father publicly. Caesar refuses, and Julia threatens to reveal his time-stopping power to the entire city. Stunned, Caesar has no choice but to tell her the truth. He takes her into a special room filled with maglo-based technology. Inside, he imagines the city he dreams of building, and as he imagines it, a projection of the city begins forming in the room. Julia is amazed and realizes Caesar truly wants to create a city where the rich and the poor have equal opportunities. She decides to help Caesar and confronts her father Cicero during a beach parade, demanding that he issue Caesar the approval letter. Cicero is shocked that his daughter is siding with his enemy and begins scolding her. Just then, the parade is interrupted. Caesar's car is about to pass through, so even the mayor's parade is halted. Cicero, now more humiliated than ever, refuses to listen. Julia, now curious about Caesar's past, begins investigating his deceased wife. She learns that his wife had overdosed on insulin, crashed her car into a river, and later her body mysteriously disappeared. Julia, for some reason, starts secretly following Caesar. One night, she sees him buy flowers from a poor man's shop and follow him to a building. Inside, Caesar has set up holographic projectors that replay visions of his wife. Overwhelmed by the memories, Caesar becomes emotional. Julia, witnessing all this, is deeply moved and can hardly believe someone could love their dead spouse so much. The next day, Julia meets Caesar again, and he takes her to the tallest building in the city. He stands there observing the entire city, planning how he will convert it into a utopia. Julia asks him what he most wants to preserve in his utopia. Caesar replies that he wants to build a place where people live happily and no marriage ever suffers again. Weeks pass, and Julia becomes romantically involved with Hamilton. At their engagement party, Caesar also arrives with Julia. He gifts a beautiful Maglome dress to a model named Vesta. During her performance, Vesta uses the Maglo dress to turn invisible, impressing everyone. The party has everything for people to enjoy, but some guests are there to protest Caesar's utopia plan. Caesar ignores them, but internally he's disturbed. He starts drinking and smoking in the club area while Julia watches from a distance. Vesta, the model, is about to perform again when Claudio gives a pen drive to the producer backstage and asks him to play it on the projector. The moment it's played, intimate photos of Caesar and Vesta are projected in front of the entire audience. The crowd is furious and starts attacking Vesta. Security removes her quickly, but the crowd, now in a frenzy, targets Caesar. As Caesar tries to escape, a man punches him hard in the face, knocking him unconscious. Julia, who had been following Caesar, rushes to him, puts him in her car, and tries to get him out of there. But suddenly, a group of police officers surrounds them. Caesar is arrested. Vesta turns out to be a minor, and Caesar is charged with committing a heinous act with a minor. In jail, Caesar realizes he has completely lost his ability to stop time. He's devastated, now trapped with no way out. When Caesar was arrested, he tried to explain to the police that all the videos were fake, but they refused to believe him. At that moment, Julia was desperate to free Caesar. So she sneaked into the city's archive area with the help of a friend, the place where every citizen's records were stored. After going through the files, she found some documents related to Vesta, which proved that she was not a minor at all. Julia took these copies straight to Cicero and demanded Caesar's release. But Cicero, who would rather die than help Caesar, tore the documents right in front of her. Furious, Julia stormed out and went to meet Hamilton, since he was extremely rich and had influence over many city decisions. However, before she could meet Hamilton, she bumped into Veo by accident. Veo didn't want Julia to meet Hamilton under any circumstances, because deep down, Veo was extremely jealous that Caesar was now spending more time with Julia. Meanwhile, in Hamilton's room, Claudio was present. Claudio wanted to become a member of the bank, but Hamilton knew very well that Claudio was the one who had leaked Caesar's videos, and that he was still very immature. So Hamilton flatly refused to give him the position. It was also revealed that although Hamilton never publicly supported Caesar, he considered Caesar extremely capable. This was another reason Claudio was so jealous of him. Even though Julia couldn't meet Hamilton, luck was on Caesar's side. A forensic report soon confirmed that all the videos of Caesar and Vesta were completely fake. They had been created using holograms. Based on this, Caesar was honorably acquitted and released from jail. Still, Caesar was deeply upset. Though the court had set him free, he had lost his powers, and in the eyes of the public, his image had been destroyed. The next day, as he sat atop the tallest building in the city, Julia approached and talked to him. Caesar confessed to her that he had lost his powers. He also revealed something else, that he blamed himself for his wife's death, because when she injected herself with insulin, he wasn't even home. Julia held his hand and comforted him. And at that very moment, Caesar felt a surge. His powers had returned. Both of them were overwhelmed with joy. Caesar kissed Julia immediately. With Julia's return, light had returned to Caesar's life once again. And that's why, my friends, they say that having the perfect partner in life is truly important. Now tell us in the comments, who among you already has a perfect partner, and who's still searching? In the weeks that followed, Caesar focused deeply on his work and spent the rest of his time enjoying life with Julia. One day, he even took her to meet his mother. Despite Caesar being such a good person, his mother didn't care for him at all. She always treated him like a dog. Seeing her behavior, Julia realized how alone Caesar had been his entire life, and that's why, despite being so broken inside, he never opened up to anyone. So, to lift his spirits, she spent time with him and made him feel better. Eventually, they even began using Caesar's powers during their intimate moments. Meanwhile, Claudio was still burning with revenge. He went to the very poor people Caesar wanted to help by rebuilding the city and turned them against him. Those same people now began protesting Caesar's construction project. Then suddenly, one day, Cicero received urgent news. A Soviet satellite was about to fall from space and crash into their city. If that happened, a huge portion of the city would be destroyed. With no way to stop it, the authorities evacuated the area, and the satellite struck, completely wiping out that part of the city. But strangely, this turned out to be a blessing for Caesar. He could now reconstruct the area exactly the way he envisioned. He continued working non-stop, creating new designs and testing layouts to bring his dream city to life. One day, during an intimate moment, Julia gave him good news. She was pregnant. Caesar was overjoyed and immediately proposed to her. But Julia declined, for now. She believed Caesar hadn't fully moved on from his late wife yet. She wanted him to heal from his past first. Only then, she said, they could start a new life together. Caesar understood and agreed. Later, they built a large home using Mag Leno and invited Cicero and his wife over for lunch. Even though Cicero despised Caesar, he came for his daughter's sake. During lunch, just as Caesar and Cicero were about to get into an argument, Julia stood up and announced in front of everyone that she was pregnant. Cicero's wife was thrilled, but Cicero himself was shaken by the news. Still, he didn't say anything and quietly finished his meal before leaving. The next day, Cicero, deep in thought, calls Caesar to his office, and it is there that a shocking truth is revealed. Caesar's wife had died because he had been too busy with work to give her the time and attention she needed. Slowly, she had fallen into deep depression and eventually committed suicide. Cicero further confesses that it was he who played a role in the disappearance of Caesar's wife's body. The insulin injections were not procured by her. Cicero himself had ensured she got them. Later, he deliberately made the body disappear so that not even by accident could anyone point a finger at him. At present, Cicero was revealing all this to Caesar because he wanted him out of Julia's life. In exchange, he was even ready to publicly confess everything to the media. Moreover, he was now willing to give Caesar the official approval letter he needed to demolish and redesign the city according to his vision. Hearing all this, Caesar was filled with rage. But for him, Julia was the most important person in his life now, and that's why he refused Cicero's deal and walked out of his office. On his way out, Caesar runs into Veo, who secretly wanted to have an affair with him. In exchange, she offered to sneak him some of Hamilton's fortune. But Caesar flat out rejected her offer and walked away with full confidence and swag. Veo was furious. She decided to completely destroy Caesar. Without informing Hamilton, she blocked all of Caesar's bank accounts. This financial trap pushed Caesar back into depression. Claudio, too, had the same goal, to ruin Caesar. So when he saw the controversy between Veo and Caesar, he decided to use the opportunity. That night, he sent a child, pretending to be Caesar's fan, to meet him. As Caesar bent down to give the child an autograph, the child suddenly pulled out a gun and shot Caesar in the face. Caesar was critically injured and on the verge of death. Fortunately, Julia was nearby. She immediately called an ambulance and rushed him to the hospital. Although Caesar was still in pain, he was also experiencing strange visions. The doctors had to perform a high-risk surgery with almost no chance of survival. On Caesar's request, they even used Mag Leno metal in the operation. Miraculously, the surgery was successful. Though his life had been saved, Caesar was left emotionally shattered. During this time, Julia never left his side. She continued to motivate and support him. Even then, Caesar kept seeing visions of his wife. Finally, he confessed to Julia that he truly loved his wife and that the night she injected herself with insulin, he had discovered something major. He had been immersed in research that had just concluded that night. But by the time he got home, his wife had already injected herself and left. And the insulin, as he now knew, had been given to her by none other than Cicero. After learning all this, Julia was absolutely shocked. She finally understood why Caesar harbored such intense hatred for Cicero. This was also the reason Caesar had developed Mag Leno, so that in the future, if anyone was ever in a battle or accident, their life could still be saved. Some time later, when Caesar had regained the strength to walk again, he went to meet Veo and threatened her severely. At that moment, Hamilton also arrived. When he learned of Veo's actions, he immediately unblocked Caesar's accounts and harshly reprimanded her. Veo's rage increased even more. She slept with Claudio, and together they planned revenge on Caesar and Hamilton. With Claudio's help, she tricked Hamilton into signing over all his bank rights and even got him removed from the board of directors. When Hamilton discovered the betrayal, he suffered a stroke and became paralyzed for a long time. Meanwhile, Caesar had fully recovered, and Julia had given birth to a baby girl. To celebrate, Caesar and Julia privately got married. Very few people knew about their wedding. Now Claudio and Veo set their sights on taking Cicero's position. They began inciting the poor against him. The manipulated masses attacked Cicero's house, forcing him to decide that he would leave the city with his family. He had no intention of taking Caesar with him because all the poor people were now strongly against Caesar. Julia, for the sake of her daughter's safety, decided to leave Caesar temporarily. Caesar also agreed with her decision. So Cicero used an underground train to escape the city with his family. On the other side, Claudio and Veo went to meet Hamilton. But Hamilton, now looking like Thakur from Sholay, was sitting silently. As soon as they mocked him and got close, Hamilton removed his shawl. Underneath, he was holding a bow. With it, he immediately shot and killed Veo with an arrow and then attacked Claudio. But due to sheer luck, Claudio managed to escape and once again started provoking the poor people. Meanwhile, Hamilton called his assistant and instructed him to invest all of his remaining wealth into Caesar's project. Soon, Caesar received official approval. Overjoyed, he personally went before the public and explained his full plan for a utopian city, one where everyone would have equal rights, and no one would be judged as rich or poor. Hearing this, the poor people were stunned. They realized Claudio had manipulated them all along. Furious, they attacked Claudio, hung him upside down, and thrashed him badly. In just a few days, things returned to normal. Caesar began executing his grand vision. By New Year's Eve, he had reconstructed the entire city as he had dreamed. During the party, he celebrated with his whole family. Even Caesar's mother showed up to see him, which made him very happy. At the stroke of midnight, Caesar stopped time and kissed Julia, wishing her a happy new year. While everyone else was frozen, both Caesar and Julia were stunned to see that their baby girl was unaffected by Caesar's time-stopping power. This realization filled them with immense joy. Now tell us, if you had the power to stop time, what would you do with it? Let us know in the comments below.